Two neighbors bought the same house on the same street in the same month, same price, same loan, same paycheck. One of them threw every spare dollar at the mortgage, desperate to own it free and clear. The other paid the exact minimum on purpose for years and did something quiet with the difference. A decade later, the one who refused to pay it off early was measurably richer than the one who rushed. Same house, same money, opposite results. For a long time, I assumed the first neighbor was the responsible one. Paying off your house feels like the most grown-up thing a person can do. Then I actually ran the numbers the way the wealthy run them. And I realized the instinct that feels so responsible is quietly costing ordinary families a fortune. But, and this is the part almost no finance video will tell you honestly, in 2026, the answer just changed. So let me show you exactly when paying off your mortgage early is a mistake, when it suddenly is not, and how the wealthy actually decide. Let us get into it. Here is the idea the whole thing rests on. Most people treat all debt as one single enemy to be destroyed as fast as possible. The wealthy do not see debt that way at all. They see it as a tool with a price tag, and the only question that matters is simple. Is this debt cheaper than what my money could earn somewhere else? If yes, you keep the debt and put your money to work. If no, you kill the debt. That is the entire decision. No emotion, no guilt, just the two numbers side by side. And here is why this video is different from the ones you watched 3 years ago, because the honest answer flipped. For a decade, mortgages were dirt cheap. People locked in rates near 3% and against a market that returns around 10%. Keeping that cheap loan and investing instead was a landslide, but it is 2026 now. According to Freddie Mac, the average 30-year fixed mortgage is sitting around 6.5%. That changes everything, and the wealthy already adjusted while most advice online is still stuck in the past. So let me walk you through how they actually think at today's real numbers, not the ones from a cheaper era. The first thing the wealthy see is the spread, the gap between what the mortgage costs and what the money could earn. This is the whole game, and it is worth being honest about both sides. Here's the math at today's numbers. The stock market has returned somewhere around 10% a year on average over the long run, and closer to 7% after inflation. Your mortgage at today's roughly 6.5% is no longer the free money it was in 2021. But look closely, because the spread is still there. $1 you refuse to prepay, invested instead at a long-run 10%, is still out earning a 6.5% mortgage. It is just a thinner margin than before, and it now comes with real risk. Because the market does not hand you 10% every single year. It hands you wild swings that average out over decades. So the wealthy keep the mortgage running when they believe in that long-run spread, but they respect that at 6.5%, unlike at 3%, reasonable people can now disagree. That honesty is exactly what separates a real strategy from a slogan. The second thing the wealthy understand is that prepaying the mortgage is almost never the best use of the next dollar, because there are guaranteed wins sitting right in front of you that beat it every time. Start with the single best deal in personal finance, the employer match. According to Fidelity, the most common company match is a full dollar for dollar on the first 3% of your salary and 50 cents on the next 2, and the average promised match works out to around 4.6% of your pay in free money. That is an instant 100% return on the first slice, before the market does anything at all. And yet, Fidelity reports that more than 1 in 5 workers leave part of that match on the table every year. Think about that. People are racing to prepay a 6% mortgage while walking past a 100% guaranteed return their employer is begging them to take. Then comes a Roth account, growing tax-free for decades. Then a fully funded emergency fund. Every one of those beats prepaying a mortgage, and every one of them is invisible from the outside. The wealthy capture all of them first, and only then even think about extra payments. The third thing, and the one almost nobody thinks about, is liquidity. A paid-off house feels like the safest thing in the world, but money buried in your walls is money you cannot reach. And that is a trap that has ruined careful people. Let me make this real. A man named Marcus, a warehouse supervisor in Ohio, earning about $62,000 a year, did what felt responsible. For years, he threw every extra dollar at his mortgage, proud to watch the balance shrink, sure he was winning. Then, his roof failed, and his car died in the same brutal month. Marcus had a house worth far more than he owed, and almost nothing he could actually touch. You cannot spend a kitchen. So he reached for a credit card, and here is where the numbers turn vicious. According to the Federal Reserve, the average credit card now charges around 21%. He had spent years fighting a 6% mortgage, only to be forced into 21% debt at the worst possible moment. He put out a small fire by starting a much bigger one. The lesson that stayed with him was permanent. A dollar locked in your house cannot rescue you. A dollar you can reach can. And if you are finding this useful, this is the kind of breakdown I publish here every week. The real mechanics of money instead of the highlight reel. The fourth thing the wealthy understand is that a fixed mortgage is one of the only debts in existence that inflation slowly pays off for you. Your payment is frozen for 30 years while your income and the price of everything around you drifts steadily upward. Think about what that means. The $2,000 payment that feels heavy today will feel light in 15 years. Not because the number ever changes, it never changes, but because the dollars you use to pay it are worth less every year while the payment stands perfectly still. You are borrowing today's expensive dollars and paying the bank back with tomorrow's cheaper ones for 3 decades. The wealthy treat that frozen payment as a quiet gift that keeps giving. So even in a 6% world, they think hard before tearing up a contract that inflation is slowly, silently tilting in their favor. Now let me stop because I owe you real honesty here, more than most videos on this will give you. At 6.5%. Paying off your mortgage early is not the obvious blunder it was at 3%. Guaranteeing yourself a 6% return by prepaying with zero risk is genuinely attractive. And if debt keeps you awake at night, the peace of mind is worth something no spreadsheet can measure. I am not telling you to never pay off your house. I am telling you not to do it first and not to do it blindly. Capture the free match. Kill any high interest debt. Build the emergency fund, fund the tax-advantaged accounts, and then, if you still want to attack the mortgage for the pure peace of it, do it with your eyes open, knowing exactly what you chose and why. That is not the same as rushing to prepay out of a vague feeling that all debt is bad. Let me put real numbers on the order of operations, because the sequence is everything. Picture someone with $500 extra a month and a 6.5% mortgage. Option 1, they throw all of it at the house. They earn a guaranteed 6.5%, which is real, but that is the ceiling. Option 2, they send the first slice into their 401k to capture the full employer match, turning part of that $500 into an instant 100% return, then put the rest into a Roth compounding tax-free for 30 years. Same $500 a month. In option 1, they own a house a little sooner. In option 2, they capture free money, decades of tax-free growth, and keep their cash reachable the whole way. Over 30 years, the gap between those two paths is not small. It is frequently the difference between comfortable and wealthy on the exact same paycheck. The mortgage was never the enemy. The order you attacked things in was. And this brings us to the part almost nobody says out loud, because it is the foundation everything else stands on. The spread, the match, the liquidity, the inflation gift, all of it rests on one single thing, and if that thing is missing, none of it holds. You can memorize the rule that says invest instead of prepay, but if you do not understand why a 6% mortgage compares to a 10% market, or why a 100% match dwarfs both, or how 21% credit card debt can erase years of progress in a single bad month, then the raw fear of owing money will win, and you will burn cash-killing cheap debt while ignoring the real fire. Deciding how to handle a mortgage is the strategy. Financial literacy is the operating system that strategy runs on. Without it, being debt-free feels like winning, even at the exact moment it is quietly making you poorer. So go back one last time to those two neighbors, the one racing to burn the mortgage papers, and the one paying the minimum on purpose. You see them differently now. The first one chased a guaranteed 6% and a feeling of safety. The second one captured a 100% match, decades of tax-free growth, a cash cushion deep enough to survive a bad month, and let a fixed payment quietly shrink against inflation for 30 years. One of them paid off a house. The other one bought freedom. Here is what I understand now that I did not understand then. Being debt-free is not the same as being wealthy. Sometimes they point in the same direction, and in a 6% world, closer than they used to, but they are not the same thing, and confusing them costs people fortunes. The wealthy never confuse them. They ask one cold question, what does this dollar do best? And they follow the answer instead of the feeling, so the next time paying off your mortgage feels like the responsible thing. Pause and ask what the wealthy ask. Is this the best job for my next dollar? Or does it just feel like it? Own the house eventually if you want to. Just do not let a feeling jump the line in front of free money, tax-free growth, and the cash that rescues you when life goes wrong. That is where it starts. That is where it always starts.